Hello, everybody! BeMetalways here. Welcome back to another weekly heavy metal album review. This week we have Between the Buried and Me with Colors 2, released by Sumerian Records on August 20th, 2021. Now, Between the Buried and Me is one of my favorite modern prog metal bands, and they of course often abbreviate as BT-BAM. They are from the US, from North Carolina, and they were formed back in the year 2000 by Tommy Rogers, lead vocals and keyboards, and Paul Wagoner, guitars. The other member, Dusty Waring, with the other guitar, Dan Briggs, bass and keyboards, and Blake Richardson on the drums, joined the band in 2005 for the release of their third album, Alaska. And they have stayed since then. So very stable lineup for more than 15 years. Their fourth album, Colors, from 2007, was their breakthrough, and it's now considered one of the best modern progressive metal albums from this century. Now, we will talk about the sequel to it, which is Colors number 2, their 10th studio album and their second release with this label. It follows the two-part album Automata. It serves also, of course, as a direct follow-up to Colors. Prog fans won't be disappointed. There's a lot of beat band here, 80 minutes of music in 12 tracks. Like the first Colors, the album was written as one piece of music, so it's really meant to listen to it from start to finish, but it's not a concept album. However, thematically, it is linked to the ideas of the first one. And there's also callbacks musically and some little nuggets of music pieces that you can relate to the first album. Monochrome opens the album and it picks up from where Colors left off with this very nice piano melody. It's a Pink Floydian start with an 80s vibe to it, and I also love the simple chugging guitar to get us started. As trademark BT band, as we know, the song builds up to a heavy track and then transition to a super heavy track, the double helix of Extinction. In this track, I love the drums and the bass interlude on it, and a fun note as well from this track is that they use the sentence Between the Buried and Me as part of the lyrics. Now, I must say that I do love Colors, but I'm not an expert on it. But still, when we get to Revolution in Limbo, the third longest song on the album, it features a very nice melodic chorus that I think has some callbacks to the part 1, but people that are experts on Colors can comment on below. First, I thought also on this track that there was a guest singer, Corpse Grinder, but this is actually apparently Blake who sings on this song, and it sounds just like Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, of course, and gives the song a nice touch and contrast to Tommy's voice. There's an Opeth vibe to the song, and then the song transition into this Latin flavor interlude, and traditional beat band, it works very well and it's pretty cool. The album's first single, named Fix the Error, is the drummer delight. It starts with a cool drum intro, followed by a jazzy bass line, but there's much more. While many bands invite guitar players to do guest solos, Beat Band invited a drummer. Well, sorry, I must say drummers, because there are actually 3 drummers contributing to this amazing drum solo sequence. We have Mike Portnoy, we have Naveen Koperwis from Entheos, and we have Ken Shauk from Candiria. Very nice. And then, of course, Blake himself participates on the solo. It's a very nice song overall. Then, Never Seen / Future Shock is the second longest song on the album. It has a very nice groove, a folky interlude, but the best for me is the last minutes where it gets really prog rock. It is a good lead to the short stare into the abyss. Then Prehistory is another short one to kick off the second half of the album, and I believe here as well there are some callbacks to Colors. A highlight for me is the bass solo that to me sounds like an homage to Cliff Burton. But I haven't read if it was actually intended to be this way, but it does really sound like it. The cartoon sounds give it a different touch, and overall, it is also a more prog rock influenced track. Another song I want to talk about is Bad Habits, that shows another example of the diversity of guitar tones and styles used on the album. I do love the guitar work on this album. The solos are different from each other and often drawing from different styles and influences. As expected, the album is very eclectic with unusual mixes and influences, but somehow BT Band has perfected the art of combining all of those styles and influences seamlessly. The Future is Behind Us, for example, is a prog rock song with a deathcore breakdown, at least my interpretation, and that's pretty cool, huh? Then Turbulent features the 80s synth, and it all seemed to work for me. Like in Colors, a short song then, in this case, is Fumaro, which to me sounds like a David Gilmour inspired short instrumental, gives away to the epic closer and longest song on the album, Human as Hell, Another One with Love, which is even longer than White Walls. And actually the intro riffs and the intro minute of it reminds me a lot of the Colors album closer, White Walls. Overall, it feels that the first half of the album is heavier and angrier than Colors with less softer parts. But the second half of the album gives away a more prog rock vibe while still being BT Band and heavy at moments. Overall, Colors 2 is a culmination of everything the band has done and experienced so far, and also the production is great and actually better than Colors 1 because it's a bit brighter and more clear to me. I don't have a lot to complain on this album, but if I am to pick something, the only thing I can say is that maybe there's a lot of singing. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I would prefer maybe a little bit more instrumental parts and not so packed with lyrics. But it's a very personal, minor comment and definitely not a big deal. So let's wrap up things here. Color 2, like a good complex prog album that it is, takes time to assimilate. With that said, it brings no surprise to the long-term BT Band fans. Their style is solidified, and if anything, this album relates more to their early stuff than to the last couple of albums, but is a culmination of them all. It is very dynamic, eclectic, but still heavy, especially during the first half. Is Colors 2 at par with Colors Part 1? Probably not, but we will only be able to really answer that after months or even years listening to this album. One thing is certain, it's worthy of its name already. It's a great album, so I'm giving it 87 out of 100 and probably will stay on my top 5 albums of 2021. So take your time with it, you are in for a journey and enjoy it. That's it for today. Thanks for being here and BeMetalways.